Welcome to Next Step Advanced Sketching Techniques. Today, students, we are going to learn how to sketch out a photorealistic outdoors scene. All right, let's get started. This scene borrows from my memory and involves my grandmother and who I like to consider family, my grandmother's friend, out on a stroll in a neighborhood. First thing we're going to do, and I apologize, I don't have my graphite sketching device today, but we're going to draw a letter I, lowercase, without the dot. Notice I'm going to put the dot here and just conceal it, and then a lowercase I on this side, slanted, without the dot, and I can put the dot here to conceal it. And then we're going to do a series of squares. Follow along if you can. Watch if you must. Now, roads in the United States, as well as Great Britain and a lot of the other Middle Eastern countries, are actually use coral. Live coral is extracted from the ocean beds, and it's dehydrated in an oven, and then it's mixed in with sand and filaments. And actually, once they're done with the cow meat, little science, interesting tidbit for you. I like to add that and stitch that into my my advanced next step sketching. Once the cow has expired and the meat has been extracted, you just have a lot of floppy cow skin and cow fur. So they take the fur, and they've learned that when they shave it off and mix that in with this pavement, it makes a really rigid, strong hide to keep the tires on the road, to keep you safe during the day and night. Let's continue. All roads lead to somewhere, correct? Correct. And all roads are going to have a sidewalk. Now, on this day, we decided to go on a bicycle ride. So we're going to do a little challenge, more of a challenging thing today, because we're going to draw a bicycle from the back. Bicycle's going to be the letter C, which is kind of scrunched with respect to the vertical axis, and it's going to be flipped with respect to the horizontal axis. We're going to do a regular C, and you can see when we combine these together, they form two C's. And we're just going to do some upside down and then rotated to the left 90 degrees. Lowercase letter I's without the dots. We can add the dots here, and this is going to be the tire. We're going to do an upside down V and a sideways V without the other part of the V. And that's going to be the bicycle seat. And on this bicycle was my grandmother, pedaling along, enjoying nature, enjoying the wind blowing through her mesh. As many of you might know, but some of you may not know, my grandmother chose to dress herself, wear garb that was a ghost costume. Just a long white sheet, and she would jet spray or air spray or hairspray her hair up. So it was rigid. It probably could have been a weapon if need be. And she had long, flabby legs. Oh, and for the pedal, we're just going to do a sideways D that's rotated to the right at 720 degrees. And then the same on this side, but the D is going to be rotated with respect to the horizontal axis, 360 degrees. My grandmother had these beautiful long red slippers. If I could have worn these to high school, I would have been the belle of the ball, as they say. This is just going to be the pedal handles coming out. Pedal handles are needed to steer the bicycle. My grandmother's hands coming out here. And then on the other side, And I don't think the cars were probably too happy about this, but that's okay, because they have to share the road with bicyclists. They just have to slow down. My grandmother had a friend who I consider family, and he would shave. Beautiful the way he did. He would shave all of his hair except for the very back. He just grew it out long, wouldn't cut it, as long as nature would grow it out. And he didn't feel comfortable on bicycles. So he invested in one of those bouncy balls, and he would bounce along. Now we can't see the handle that's attached to this bouncy ball, correct? Correct. And for this I did the letter O. It just stretched out with respect to the horizontal axis. I'll pause right there so you can get your bearings. Of course, this did not have bearings, but the bicycle did. And then here's me tagging along behind. Now I was probably about 14 or so right here, and I wasn't allowed to go on the road. Something I had to earn, and I still am trying to earn that. But I had what's called a tricycle. My grandmother's friend said it's a tricycle because I need to try harder with so many things. And we'll draw yours truly. And I parted my hair, every strand on my head, every follicle was accounted for. It shows a strong constitution. It shows class. And it shows mystery. I also believed in a mustache that I was able to secure, but I did, maybe as homage to my grandmother's friend, I shaved, and I did have a scar right here. And we do want to keep this photorealistic so we can have an ultra high HD or HD. So this is me pedaling along. Now we can't draw movement in pictures. That's one of the things I want to stress to my students. And we can't draw action, but we can draw movement lines, or what I like to call, these are trademarked by the way, action lines. So we can kind of do these action lines to show the art taster that indeed there is movement. Now if this road, let's say curved, which if the memory serves correct, it did, we're going to just curve it over this way. And unfortunately on this day, grandmother was going a little too fast, and so she ended up running into a fruit stand on the side of a little, nope, it wasn't a fruit stand, it was a car wash. It's okay to write your letters here, and there were some volunteer students here. I'm just going to do a series of melon shapes, and she ended up crashing into the car wash. Unfortunately, there was a lot of traffic backed up behind us because we were going relatively slow. The ambulance was unable to get to the scene in time, but apparently, well, not apparently, in actuality, there was a few injuries. So they actually had to send in a helicopter, also called a chopper. Let's do a hard stop. I don't want even my seasoned students to try to draw this. Helicopters are notoriously hard to draw. Just watch and enjoy. And then grandmother's friend ended up complaining of neck pain from the constant bouncing. So he rather forcefully demanded to get a ride on the helicopter. So the person, there were two people, an elderly couple that were there supporting their grandkids. There was a delay in care. Delay in care, D-E-L-A-Y-C-A-R-K. And that just means that the care medical care, professional medical care, was not administered in a timely fashion. So unfortunately, we could just draw two X's here. But my grandmother's friend did get his neck looked at, and he didn't get in any type of legal trouble. Eventually, the ambulance, A-M-B-L-A-N-C-K, A-M-B-U-L-A-N-C-K-E, A-M-B-U-L-A-N-C-E. Ambulances have these big lights. Now, we can't draw movement or photon movement, but we can draw light traverse lines. So here's the ambulance. Eventually did make its way, but at this point, it was unfortunately a little too late for the elderly couple that my grandmother had first crashed into. See, when you go around a turn, you should slow down a bit. But they ended up getting stuck in the mud right here. Well, yours truly got a lashing later that day, but now I can show time passing with these dashed lines. These are time passing lines. I'm going to do a trademark there. Please do not use this in your drawings. I've trademarked these. And I played kind of over here where it was spinning up mud, which led to me getting really dirty and quite the lashing when I got home. Oh, and my grandmother's friend did not wear he did not like to wear a shirt. So we'll go ahead and do that there. And here's the ambulance stuck. And by the time the ambulance got over here, there were some words exchanged. Now, we can't draw word exchange in a drawing, but what we can do is draw exchange lines, word exchange lines. And my grandmother's friend actually didn't get a ride. He got on the helicopter, but it didn't take off with the helicopter. But the delay was such that unfortunately these people did not make it. But nonetheless, my grandmother's friend got into a disagreement with the ambulance driver, and we can't draw fight, movement, and but we can draw punches, and we can draw stab lines. Here's the ambulance worker arguing with my grandmother's friend, and here is a laceration. I'm not going to try to spell that for you. I want you to go and pull off that encyclopedia from your shelf and see if you can spell laceration. There was the object. So as time passed, this ambulance worker actually required the helicopter, so it was kind of the butterfly effect. But now the helicopter had been delayed because of my grandmother's friend, and there was an issue later discovered to have been sabotaged by my grandmother's friend. So this helicopter actually wasn't able to take off at all, which delayed care of this ambulance worker from getting his treatment. So unfortunately, there were 3 fatalities that day. But other than that, it was a memorable, enjoyable day out. I actually taped my sugar packet. I was allowed 1 sugar packet on special occasions to enjoy for treats, for sweet treats. Hopefully you were too. So I splurged. All right, well, let's go ahead and color in our beautiful outdoor scene. First thing, we are going to do a hard stop. Should we color in grandmother's ghost costume? No, it's white. But grandmother's friend did tend to have a yellowish tint to his skin, so we can go ahead and do that. The ball he was bouncing on, I believe, was not yellow, but it was orange, and orange and yellow are fraternal twins. They're very similar. Hazard rectangles, or hazard squares, I should say. Yes? Well, just for symmetry, we can draw grandmother's legs and arms. I believe my tricycle had some yellow on it. The helicopter was yellow. And these deceased people, I believe some of them were yellow. This car sign was yellow. The ambulance cross, if I remember correctly, was a beautiful, I think there have to be yellow for legal reasons. The mud had a yellowish tint to it, and the ambulance tires were a bright, beautiful, crisp yellow color, which is standard. Butterfly effects are yellow. And I believe the ambulance driver, they do believe in high fashion, just like I enjoyed my high fashion jeans. They wanted to match the ambulance's motif. All right, well, there you have it, folks. A outdoor scene of yours truly. And maybe I was 14 riding my tricycle on the sidewalk. My grandmother and my grandmother's friend were on the road proper going down, enjoying. My grandmother was on the bike, and grandmother's friend was didn't feel comfortable on bicycles. Said he didn't trust them, didn't trust his legs to do what he needed them to do. So he just bounced, and he was able to keep up just fine. Unfortunately, grandmother's friend sped through this turn, approaching this turn at too high of a speed, and ended up running into a group of people that were doing a charity fundraiser, which unfortunately fatally injured two elderly people, a man and a wife, or a husband and a wife, maybe grandparents. Helicopter had to come because the ambulance was blocked, because we had unfortunately blocked traffic because of impatient drivers. And then my grandmother's friend sabotaged some type of equipment in the helicopter after he was not permitted to take off and go to the hospital because of his neck pain brought upon by the excessive bouncing. Well, this resulted in a delay of care, unfortunately, resulting in these two people's fatalities. The ambulance was finally able to make it, but then they got bogged down, and they got into an altercation with my grandmother's friend. He did have to post bail, so he was arrested that day, but he was back home, and boy, did I get a talking to, because I process this as being my fault. And if you'd like to learn more, you can still sign up for the contest to have a spend the night or spend 2 nights at my art studio, which is built into my house. You just need to send me some information, and once you're at the house, we can talk about the contest rules. And but that's really not the important thing. The important thing is getting you to the house so we can do some dedicated art training. All right, well, there you have it, folks. I guarantee you, if you were to show this to just a random person on the street, they would be hard-pressed to distinguish this sketching, this advanced sketch page, from ultra high definition or high definition photograph. All right, well, as I always say, I hope you have a rest of your day.